Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm Andy RC and today I'm going to be checking out yet another new product from RunCam. This is the RunCam Micro Swift V3 and I know what you're thinking, what on earth have they added this time to warrant another version number? And the answer is simple. They have added camera controls through Betaflight. So in the past, if you wanted to go into your camera and change the brightness or the gain or the wide dynamic range, you'd have to plug in their little controller and it was very fiddly. Or you could actually connect it up to Betaflight on a spare LED pad and you'd have to add a resistor and a capacitor. You'd have to go into the CLI and change a bunch of things, and RunCam have now done away with all that and you can just plug it into a spare UART on your flight controller. Now you do have to be running Betaflight version 3.3, and at the making of this video there isn't a stable release of that yet. However, there are some release candidates, so I can still check that out. And that is something that is great about RunCam, is they work with Betaflight developers, and that's something that's very unique to them. So let's get and take a closer look at it. So before I go any further, I just want to mention that this is a beta version of the camera, so anything could change from what I have received here in the retail version. And at the making of this video, there's no instructions, there's no links or specs or anything like that. All I have is what is written on this box and what is inside this box. So let's take a look at that. So it says name, camera, and then we've got the model, the Micro Swift 3, the input voltage 5 to 36 volts, so it's got a really nice wide voltage range, which is something that RunCam is very good at. This is the IR blocked version, and you can see the lens is 2.1mm, and it's also the PAL version, so it looks like you can't switch between PAL and NTSC. You have to choose either the PAL version or the NTSC version when you buy it. So let's take a look what's in the box. So first of all, we have this card here which directs you to RunCam's website to download the manual, but as I say at the making of this video, no manual for this one. That will change, of course. So this is the camera itself. So it is the same sizing as all the other Micro Swifts. The only thing I noticed is it's a little bit heavier, weighing 5.9 grams. I think the other ones weigh around about 5.3, so it's still a very lightweight camera. This is the black version here, and I'm noticing straight away that it's going to be using a similar harness system to the V2. So the V1 had your normal 3-pin JST connector that plugged in, and this one looks like it's got more than that. So we've got the voltage in, we've got the ground, we've got the video, and then we've got the VBAT sensor. So it might be the case that this one has also got an on-screen display for the voltage. I'll take a look at that, and then you can see that we've got TX and RX, so that is for connecting up to a spare UART on your flight controller. Of course, the TX will go to the RX on your flight controller and the RX to the TX on a spare UART on your flight controller. So that is the camera, and let's see what else that you get. And the answer is not as much, because of course you don't need the little controller anymore, so we have less stuff. So this is the wiring harness here. These are silicon wires, so good quality wires, and that's just going to connect in there, and then I'm going to have to solder all of this up. And then we have got your usual camera mount. It's made of metal. I've never used one of these. A lot of copters these days usually have their own mounting solution. And then we've got the usual screws, and we've also got a couple of washers in there as well. So yeah, not much to it, but everything that you need. So next, let's get it on a copter. Okay, so the model that I'm going to try this on is the Mini Fight. Again, as you can see, it fits no problem there. And I've connected the RX on this side to the TX here, and the TX on this side to the RX here on a UART. And then we need to go into Betaflight and set it up in there. Okay, so here we are in Betaflight, and there is actually a stable version now for 3.3. So I have flashed it, and I'm finding it a little bit buggy, to be honest. When I connect to it, it just, yeah, it's locking up in places and it's just not behaving. And when you do get it to connect, it takes longer to boot up. Just look at all of this. So I don't know if that's how it's going to be now, but yeah, I've been finding it locking up on screens, and my CPU load isn't really terrible anyways. So if we go into the ports there, I have just changed the periphery there on the UART to RunCam device, and I've kept IRC Tramp the same for the VTX. Okay, so here we are looking through the goggles, and as you can see, we do have an on-screen display with the camera as well. So I've lifted the Betaflight on-screen display up a little bit so we can see both of them and check out what the voltage is like, because I've connected up the VBAT sensor to the battery lead. So in order to get into camera controls, we have to have the throttle right in the middle, and then it is yaw to the right, and you can see there it says remote mode, and then if I yaw to the right again, we have our camera OSD, and of course we can go in here and then change things. So I think, is it the yaw? Yes, so it's the yaw to go in and change things there, and then I can just return out of there. And then if I go exit here, if I then move the pitch upwards, just like you would on the controller, you can see we have our on-screen display options, so your voltage and things, and of course you can change the position and all sorts and turn that off. So that's pretty nice. You just have to remember which sticks do what, because in this one here, when you're choosing the name, it can be quite tricky. It's yaw to select and aileron to move over, but other than that, yeah, I like it. It works pretty nice. So I can just exit out of there, and then to exit out of that mode again, it is yaw to the left, and then we are back into the main screen of the copter. Alrighty, let's have a see what this is like. So I've left both of the on-screen displays on just so we can compare the voltage. It looks like it's matching pretty good, and the picture up to RunCam's usual standards, so no complaints there. See that the voltage there on the RunCam's on-screen display, it changes colour when it sags too low. Of course you can alter those settings. Yeah, just fantastic work again from RunCam, and that's all I can say really. Look at this, no snow, and it's above freezing, first time in a week or so. So let's have a bit of fun, you know. I love this mini fight. It's so customizable as well. That's what I love about it. Just throw anything at it and it'll take it. Quite a bit of voltage sag there though. Man, I am rusty. I haven't been flying a lot lately. Just really to get reviews done rather than leisure. I'm looking forward to the spring and the summer, that's for sure. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what else they do with this, because this has got everything. Got the on-screen display, which of course you don't necessarily need if you've got a model like this one that already has one. That's why I like the V1 and the V2, but of course I imagine they're still going to sell those. But I'd be interested if they did sort of like a version of the V1 that still had this camera control in there. So I'm just running at 25 milliwatt here, so the picture does break up at the end of the field. Nothing to do with the RunCam, of course. What flight time are we on? Around about 3.5 minutes, not bad. It is still cold here though, just a couple of degrees above freezing. Yeah, dynamic range, good. You would expect that from a CCD camera. Actually doesn't mention on the box that it's a CCD camera, but I can tell just from how it looks. Getting a pretty decent flight time out of this, which you do with the B5, especially as I'm not really pushing it. But yeah, another fantastic effort from RunCam. And as soon as you can get one, I will link it in the below, but at the making of this video, there's no links, there's nothing. So I'll come in for a landing. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.